Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kinship Connects, a podcast from SDA Kinship, and we invite you to join us as we share our stories and our journeys. My name is Floyd Pönitz, and today it's my privilege to speak with Chris Blake. It's been a while since we've done a Kinship Connects podcast, so I'm ready to get back into it, and no better person to be the first in the series, in the new series of podcasts than Chris Blake. We've been friends for a long time, and thanks for agreeing to be with us today.
Thanks, Floyd. It's great to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I think there may be 2 or 3 people out there in the world who don't know who Chris Blake is. And and so for those people, can you tell us a bit about yourself and just refresh us, give us your resume, your CV for a little bit here.
Yeah, those 2 or 3 are fortunate souls, but their luck has run out. Here it goes. I'm a convert to Seventh-day Adventism. I didn't grow up an Adventist. I was a sweaty heathen till I was 24, but I was dating this girl that I'm still dating, and
Awesome.
We've been married for a long time now. I don't want to say it because it reflects on how old she is and how old I am. But Yolanda is, love of my life, and she was an Adventist and helped to bring me into the church after college. And then I got into, teaching and publishing, actually writing. I wrote quite a bit. I started, first thing I did, you probably don't know this, a children's health magazine called Body Wise. And is with Concerned Communications, an independent publishing house. And then I went from there and worked on a lot of other things there, but then went to Insight Magazine and was editor there for 8 years. And then
and you published some really groundbreaking articles in the Insight, I think.
Yeah, that's
correct.
True.
I remember some of those as a kid, not as a kid, as a teenager, growing up and reading those and going, wow, we're actually talking about these things.
Yeah, that's we had 2 issues, in fact, called What We Don't Talk About. And that, I think you've heard me tell the story, Floyd. And thank you for not saying I remember reading Insight, when I was 4 years old and you were the editor. But the first, What We Don't Talk About, was 1990, and it was on date rape and incest and masturbation.
Wow.
Those 3 topics.
Taboo.
And I thought, let's get it all over with at once. All the pain from whatever feedback I was going to get, and really, that was the beginning of a journey for me, because I had planned to do 4 topics that issue, and the other one was the topic of homosexuality, or what I termed our sad gay situation. How we are dealing with our gay brothers and sisters. And back then, that was before, 1990 was before any acronyms existed.
Right.
So, anyway. But when I did the research on all 4 of those, I found out that the gay topic, and I really don't even like to say that because it's about people, as you know, and you've heard me say that too. It's not really a topic or an issue or a problem. It's about people. And I started doing research, and I pulled it out of that, and then I did research for the next 2 years. And my research led me to read thousands of pages and interview dozens of people, including, now that I think of it, the president at that time of Kinship. Oh boy, sure wish I could remember his name right now.
That Bob Bouchard at that time, or
Who was after Bob?
there were several.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, from Chicago.
Larry Halleck, maybe.
Larry
Larry.
Howard.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Larry and I talked a few times, and this was after the Colin Cook first debacle. I have to
Right.
say, which number.
Exactly.
So, but I learned a lot. I really appreciated that time of research, and I remember a very critical moment for me was attending an AIDS and Adventist conference in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting in the audience, and most of us in the audience were just heteronormative people, cisgender. And we heard from people who were now, I think at that point, starting to use the word queer in a sense that was not derogatory,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I remember this young, he was probably 20s. He got up, a young gay man, and he said, why do you think I would choose to live a life that was so full of persecution and heartache and all of these things that he enumerated? But then he asked the big question, Floyd. He said, when did you choose to be heterosexual?
Eye-opening. Yeah.
That was a moment. And I have asked that question probably hundreds of times since of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I remember thinking, when did I choose? No, I didn't. It's one of those moments for me. And that's one reason why, and we'll get to it in this latest venture.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, just this month, just came out, Pulse Magazine, the Kinship ad says, when did you choose to be heterosexual? Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, it came out with 1992, after those 2 years, came out with a 7,000 word article, which was really the first in-depth journalistic article of its kind for the Adventist Church, called Redeeming Our Sad Gay Situation. And oh man, I took hits from all sides on that.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I figured I must have been just right on, because I took it from all sides.
Yeah.
So I must have been right in the middle there. Yeah, the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I actually have changed a little bit in my assessment since that time as well. So another thing that I'm fond of saying is as Adventists, we sometimes expect people to get in 30 minutes what took us 30 years to figure out.
Yep. Right.
And that's just not right. So I left there, Insight, and I went to Union College, now Union Adventist University.
Okay.
And I was there for 24 years. I was an English and communications professor, and I had some great times there. I got to know a lot of people, including Deneen and Stephen Akers, Stephen Heyer.
Yeah.
Who, as you know, produced Seventh-day Adventist, and also Enough Room at the Table.
Exactly. You were a big part of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up moderating enough room at the table, and
Yeah.
Seventh-day Adventist, wasn't allowed to be shown on our campus, so I rented a theater downtown in Lincoln, Nebraska, as one of the first showings for them. I think that we were like number 3.
Uh-huh.
Um, and the Ross Theater there downtown in Lincoln, an art theater, held 225. They had different theaters. We got the biggest one, 225 people
Hmm.
jammed in to watch it. And
Wow.
Stephen was there, as well as David Carlson, who was
Okay.
featured in it. And
Yeah.
David was a former student and a friend, and was and is a friend of mine,
Hmm.
student body president. Um, and so they were both there, and I moderated the conversation afterward. And what a delightful time we had! Just wonderful.
Wow.
Um, Free flowing, 225 people, a lot of laughter, a lot of uh, interesting, deepening discussion. And at the end of it all, I remember saying, "Isn't it ironic that Seventh-day Adventists would find such a sanctuary in a movie theater?"
Ironic, yes, for
Yeah.
sure. For
Uh,
sure. Yes, yes.
so anyway, then went
And you
on to
still had a job there as a
I
professor afterwards?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Still had a job. Yeah, and that was good. I was involved with a lot of things. Amnesty International is involved with fighting sex trafficking around the world, especially in on the border between Nepal and India.
Mm.
Um, and a lot of different. I'm not. It wasn't a one-string guitar. I don't want to give that impression.
Hmm. Hmm.
Really about following Jesus always, always, always,
Right.
and being what I like to call a Radventist,
I like that.
getting to the root of things.
Uh-huh.
And I'm always attracted to Radventists, people who are into what Jesus actually not only uh, not only said, but also did,
Hmm. Hmm.
all of it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I did have a job. I guess I probably ought to mention Sanctuary for Conversation. And that's, oh, there you go. You're holding it up.
Yes.
Bless you.
Yes. It was
Good for you.
a
Good for
great
you.
booklet here. Tell
Yeah,
us about
ended up,
that and what your goal was with that.
yeah,
Obviously, from the title, we kind of know, but
yeah, a safe place for dialogue and changing the context and the textures of our nuances of our language too. Really important part is listening, teaching people how to listen, and to give a voice to the voiceless, and also to, I presented it first to 100 people, 100 youth workers from across North American Division youth workers,
mhm.
uh, pastors, almost all of them, at Lincoln, and then some people heard about it. My friend Dave Gemmell did, and then I was invited down to present at the Called Convention in Austin, Texas,
Right,
before San Antonio.
right, right.
Presented it to 140 pastors down there in 2015, and yeah, that was some interesting good times, and then kind of went around and presented it at different churches and different. Um, Actually, presented it to Loma Linda administration. Had about 70 people there, and as a result of that, they opened up a safe space on campus at Loma
Hmm.
Linda University.
Good, good.
So that sanctuary for conversation in it during that time, which was it's about a little under 4 hours long, the whole thing. we invite a young gay Adventist in, a young lesbian Adventist in to speak to us. I just interview them, ask them questions, and they could let it go, let it fly.
Mm-hmm.
Parents of LGBTQ people, and also health professionals who actually know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That was remarkable,
Yeah.
But the listening aspect, and then listening to one another and confronting fears and misapprehensions, and the book's full of all sorts of things, including some excerpts from Justin Lee, who's a superb writer and thinker, stats, including Exodus International closing their doors forever in 2013 after 37 years.
Wow.
Attempting change ministries, reparative ministries, they call it, still being attempted some places, but illegal in most places, in many places. And, I was really trying, I think you know this, Floyd, we had some conversations, really trying to find a way to get the North American division to put their imprimatur on it, so it would be something that could be provided to all churches in North America.
Available.
And yeah, but that didn't work. They did not
Do you think you were
approve
just
it.
one step too far beyond their comfort zone, or maybe a
I
half
do
step
I do
even?
think so.
Yeah.
It's it's not as easy to control. That's what they kind of came back to me on, when you have people coming in and telling their stories. And
Yeah.
you know what it reminds me of is Jesus saying of the Holy Spirit, you know where the wind blows, you don't know where it's coming from. Yeah, you just that's the way the Holy Spirit is. You can't
That's
really
right.
control that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was part of the problem. However, I do think that it might have helped to lead the commission that looked at the seminar to go to the Guiding Families
Guiding
book.
families. Okay. Yeah.
That one, of course, was easier to control,
Mm-hmm.
including putting their fundamental belief stuff in and all the rest.
Right.
But still, it's something. It was something, and so I was glad for that.
Yeah. Is this
Anyway,
one still available if someone wanted to order a
it's
copy?
pretty. I'm not sure that it is.
Okay.
Advent Source used to handle it. If you put in a group order, and maybe distributed it or something, I'm really not sure. But
Okay.
yeah, Advent Source did cover it.
Got it. Okay.
And Brad Forbes would know.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. And included in that is something that I still use called On Identity that we came up with. That's it. You got it. And that's one that insight, that Kinship offers on your website, at least you used to.
Right.
And I still think it's a very helpful tool for people who are trying to learn language. And language is always evolving.
Spoken like
But
a
this
true
is
professor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm a educator at heart, and I guess even more so, I'm an activist. I appreciate action, which I became a pastor after I retired. I flunked retirement. I only was retired for a year. And then that's what one of my students said to me, "Hey, you flunked retirement." I said, "Yeah." And came out to the Central California coast here, which is where I went to school, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And pastored here for 5 years, had 5 good years and tough years, COVID right in the middle of them.
Mm-hmm.
So challenging time, and also very rewarding. And when I retired last fall, I'd already been working on something, and that's really what I want to talk about most. And I know you wanted to get to it.
Yeah.
Is to get beyond the talk. 1 Corinthians 4:20, Paul says, the kingdom of God consists not in talk, but in power. And I appreciate that, that there's a lot of talk sometimes, but not a lot of action. And action creates hope. It's one of the mottos of this organization. It's not an organization, it's a movement called JustLove Collective. So a group of friends and I, and some people I didn't even know, but we are together now, started this movement. Just Love is a blending of justice and love. And the collective part is just gathering people together. So it really has twin aims. The twin aims are to get people together who are, I wrote an article once about guardians and seekers. How guardians are more intent on keeping things and kind of a fortress mentality. And seekers are more about launching out. It was in a book I wrote called Swimming Against the Current, and which is based on Micah 6:8, the book is. But these seekers, Adventist seekers, once you find the truth, you still seek. You're still seeking. You don't give up. Right. Exactly. And so getting those like-minded people together, but we're all spinning in our separate silos. You got kinship over here, and you got Adventist Peace Fellowship over here, and you got Spectrum over here, Adventist Today over here, and all these different. So the idea is to get us all together. So we're pulling together, and we're promoting and supporting one another in this seeking and also justice oriented way. And the other thing is to take action, then to be activist. Right. So it's called a collaboration of Adventist activists. You don't have to be Adventist to participate, but we started this Just Love Collective, and now we have a magazine, a digital magazine called Pulse, which I'm hoping that you'll promote.
Will do. And definitely.
Yeah, and it just came out just a couple of weeks ago.
That's the first issue, right? The premiere issue?
First issue, inaugural issue. Okay. And I'm going to be switching off with other editors, but I'm editing the first 2 issues here. And we also have a what I like to call an unconventional convention, a convention that's unconventional. It's called the Summit, and it'll be at La Sierra University, May 3 and 4. Just coming up around the corner here.
Yeah. Now, is there a chance to still get in on that?
You can still get in on it. That's right. Okay. If you look at the JustLoveCollective.org website, you'll see the way to register. And even if you're not in the area, if you're across the world, across the globe, probably it would help to speak English this time around. I don't think we have translators. But if you don't understand English and you pay for the virtual approach, register for the virtual, then you get the entire conference, the entire summit, which is a day and a half, and all sorts of workshops, interactions, and it's all recorded, so you can go back to it, you know.
Cool. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea. The hope is that we can touch people who don't have to be there, but you can plug in and share it, and we're still making it up as we go, but we're hopeful that people will find some joy and liberation and hope. Yeah, hope is really, action creates hope. So
Right.
we're becoming advocates. I'm tired of complaining, and so it's really about advocacy more than accusation.
Mhm.
And that includes here are a few of our advocacy teams that we're starting. JustLove advocacy teams, creating inclusive cultures, community organizing, the ABCs of community organizing, LGBTQ advocacy, anti-racist coalitions, environmental care, digital tools for social justice, local economic empowerment, and self-care for social justice activists, because so we don't all burn out, you know.
Important. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So those are some of the avenues for the summit, Just Love Collective Summit, which is coming up, and I'm really really excited about it. It's going to be happening. So
Yeah.
now I'm going to take a breath. That's a long intro.
That was great. Yes, and I wanted to say that I'm very proud that kinship is allowed and happy to participate in this collective. Um, I really like when you hear Just Love Collective, sometimes you get stuck on just love. And you don't necessarily think of the justice, but as you were talking, it's like justice leads to love.
That's
And
right.
the other way around, love leads to justice. If you truly love your neighbor, you're going to want justice for them. And if you want justice for them, you're going to love your neighbor. And, I really like how that feeds in with each other. And I like just love as well. But yeah,
Yeah,
justice
yeah.
and the love is a good symbiotic relationship, I think, at least. So
Really
yeah.
two sides of the same coin.
Uh-huh.
You can't have love without justice, and justice without love
Yeah, yeah.
is the idea. And Cornell West said, justice is what love looks like in public.
Right. Good. Good. Very good
Yeah.
quote there. Um, I always like playing devil's advocate a little bit.
Yep.
So I'm just wondering, have you gotten any feedback like from the higher ups, from the NAD maybe even, or whatever? Has anyone said anything or expressed any support or concern for this new movement that you're working on?
Yeah, I gotten some support. Indeed, have some support. There are always surprises, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, oh, how about that? And then also, oh, how about that?
Right, right.
uh, yeah, it didn't. I was kind of hoping some people would step up a little more, but once again, everybody's on a journey,
Sure.
and I recognize that. I also recognize that yeah, we're in different places. You know, when I was at Union, yeah, and I was going around doing the Sanctuary for Conversation um, workshop, there were some people that were extremely unhappy with my doing that.
Mhm.
And, there was a conference that tried to get rid of me. They um, had this campaign with hundreds of emails pouring into, not to me, of course, following Matthew 18, that wouldn't be right,
Right.
but to the president,
Mhm.
demanding that I be fired, et cetera, et cetera. And I called up the president of the conference because he was behind it. And I talked with him, and he said, if you work for me, I would fire you. I said, well, I don't work for you. And I don't work for the Adventist church either.
Mm.
I'm
Hmm.
employed by the Adventist Church, but I work for God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would tell my students that every day. Don't mix the two up. Never
Yeah.
work 1 second for the church. Work for God.
Work for God.
And even in my retirement, I still have the same boss. You know,
That's
I
good.
still know who my boss is,
Yes.
and
Yes.
still the same boss. So I know what it's like to be, shot at. Of course, inside you take a lot of hits too. But I would say this: right now, we are not known.
Give it some
So
time. Yeah.
yeah, it'll the wave will hit,
Yeah.
and that's all right. If I said this to our organizing team, we were talking about trying to keep people safe.
Hmm.
Jesus never promised that for us. You know,
It's true.
he promises you will be persecuted if you follow me. You're going to have some hits. You're going to have people coming at you, just as they did to him.
Right.
And so it's really a kind of a fantasy to say, you're going to be safe following Jesus, safe in the arms of Jesus. There is a sense of safety, and there's peace, and there's joy. But as far as not getting attacked, that is not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
I'm a
Exactly.
little bit more concerned if there aren't some people out there.
You're not doing your job then.
That's right. I must not be following the master here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love the passion that people, even the ones that write letters of complaints or whatever, I love that passion. If we could only turn that passion into dialogue and make it a
that's right.
conversation, help me understand you, let me help you understand me, and maybe we can find a middle ground, and maybe we can't, but at least we tried. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's what my hope and goal is. So,
You
eh,
know, and
yeah, go ahead.
another book that really helped me was a recent one by Alicia Johnston,
Okay.
The
What's that
Bible
called?
and LGBTQ Adventists.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
heard
you
of
might
it.
have heard of it.
I've heard of it
Might have heard
along
of
the
it. I think you and I have testimonials in that book
way. Yeah.
somewhere. Uh, yeah, but really, I don't think it's been done better than what Alicia did in that book.
Yeah.
And my hope is that, and I have an excerpt from the book in this first inaugural Pulse magazine. And as I said, we're not a one-string guitar. We're doing all sorts of justice issues, um, and it's also the case that Alicia's book is really just so gracious and targeted and deep
Mhm.
and nuanced. I was just really, really impressed by it, and so that's a plug for that book as well.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. Um, I'm going to ask if you have any final thoughts, and also tell us again the name of the summit that's coming up, the time, the
Yeah,
date, and how one can find it on the internet to connect with it.
sure, sure. Yeah, I'm a little nervous whenever everybody says, "What are your final thoughts, Floyd?" But for
Final
now,
thoughts for this
yes.
interview. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Uh, um, yeah, please take a look at us, JustLoveCollective.org. Get on the website, look us over, look at the magazine, the digital magazine called Pulse, and please consider joining us at our summit, which will take place on May 3 and 4, Friday evening and all day on Saturday. And we're intentional about spending the Sabbath this way because Jesus was. Sabbath, Jesus goes out of his way for healing
Hmm.
and says, on this day, especially, I don't desire sacrifice, just giving up stuff, but mercy. It's not about what we don't do on the Sabbath. It's about what we do. That's what Jesus is saying.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
on this day, on this Sabbath, May 3 and 4, there in Riverside, California, we're going to be focusing on justice and love and mercy and walking humbly with our God. So please take a look at that, and consider, especially, I know most of your listeners won't be in the area, to get on virtually. You're going to be involved virtually as well in real time, and we're going to actively involve people through the process. So it's about involvement and activism, and I'm excited about it. It's a new venture, and some people are saying, it's about time, and we're grateful for God's spirit and the leading so far. Dillis Brooks and I are helping out especially, but there's a core group of a dozen more people that are on, and then dozens more, rippling out. So we hope that we keep expanding this. This is just the start. This is, just the start.
Sounds exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. And looking forward to seeing you there.
I'll be there.
Kinship's presence welcomed is welcomed there.
And not across the street in the park.
No. Although that turned out to be pretty good, didn't it?
Yes.
You got some very good.
God is great. God is good. Yes.
I know it. That's the way God is. God's the God of recovery.
Yeah.
So, grateful for all, and especially for this opportunity to share.
Yeah. Thank you. Two things that I also want to include, as with any startup group or any group, if you have a couple extra bucks in your pocket, I think you're very happy to accept those to help cover costs. And any startup needs money. So please, you can donate. I'm sure on the website there's the donate button and opportunity. So a couple bucks go a long way, or a couple $1,000 go a long way as well. So
they really go a long way.
Either one.
Yeah,
and the other thing is to share the website and tell others about it. Right.
Thank you. Yeah. If there's some way you can put it up, attach it to the end of this or something, that would be good.
Yeah.
And in Pulse Magazine, there are hyperlinks all the way through it. That's the joy of a digital magazine is it connects one click and you're into a whole another universe,
Exactly.
And you can find out a lot more answers about what we're about, even beyond what I've said here.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Excellent. Well, Chris, thank you so much for sharing with us today. I appreciate having you on. It's always good to connect, and I look forward to just a few days away. We're going to connect in person, and that'll be nice. I thank the viewers for joining us today, and hopefully today's podcast was interesting, giving you something to think about. Sign up for the summit and be there either in person or online. We look forward to having you join us. And just want to remind you, Seventh-day Adventist Kinship is the only LGBTQIA plus affirming community for the current and former Adventist. And we welcome not only the Rainbow Adventist or the Rainbow members, but also parents, family, supportive allies. We're a safe community for all of those. And we want to make a difference, just like JustLove Collective is doing a difference in the church for the better and for the world. You can check out SDA Kinship on the web, sdakinship.org. Follow us on social media at SDA Kinship. And if you have any questions, you can always send me an email, send them to me, an email, info@sdakinship.org. If you want to have a comment for Chris, I'll be happy to forward that on to him. And we look forward to having you on another episode coming up soon. Take care. Have a blessed day.